The bass thundered through crimson eclipse, but Lee Ha-jin heard none of it. He sat in his private booth on the second floor, watching two men discuss the previous night's work. "3 of their dealers are dead, boss," June said, his voice flat. "The Harlem territory is secure. Good." Ha-jin's response was automatic, mechanical. "Double security on the waterfront shipments. The midnight crew will retaliate." "Yes, boss." The men left. Ha-jin remained, staring at the crowd below through tinted glass. Bodies moved under strobe lights, things he couldn't remember feeling. He lifted his whiskey glass and pressed it to his lips. Nothing, not the burn. 3 years since the poisoning, 3 years of this hollow existence. Park Ju-won appeared at his side, silent as always. "The new dancers start tonight. Do you want—" "I don't care." Ju-won nodded, used to the emptiness in his boss's voice. Ha-jin had stopped caring about most things the day he woke up, unable to feel anything. Pain, pleasure, temperature, all of it gone, stolen by a nerve toxin slipped into his drink at a business dinner in Seoul. The midnight crew had wanted him to suffer before dying. Instead, they'd created something worse than a corpse, a man who breathed but didn't live. The lights dimmed. Music shifted. The crowd's attention turned to the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage our newest dancer. Please give it up for Eleanor." Ha-jin's eyes drifted to the stage out of habit. Nothing more. Then she stepped into the light. Eleanor Sinclair moved like water and fire combined, her dark skin luminous under the spotlight, wrapped in crimson that clung to every curve. But it wasn't her beauty that made Ha-jin's world tilt sideways. It was the way she danced, powerful, graceful, completely unaware she was being watched by a dead man coming back to life. His chest tightened. Ha-jin's hand shot to his sternum, fingers pressing against his shirt. His heart was racing, actually racing. For the first time in 3 years, he could feel his pulse hammering against his ribs like it was trying to break free. "What?" The word came out strangled. Heat flooded his veins. His hands trembled. He could feel the leather beneath his fingers, the bass vibrating through his chest, the sweat forming on his palms. Every nerve ending that had been silent for 3 years suddenly screamed back to existence. His skin burned, his lungs expanded and contracted with each breath, and he could feel it, all of it. The overwhelming, beautiful, terrifying feeling of being alive. Eleanor spun on stage, completely oblivious to the chaos she'd unleashed. Ha-jin's stomach dropped, not from fear, but from something primal and hungry he thought the poison had killed forever. Want. Raw. Desperate want. "Who is she?" Ha-jin's voice came out rough, almost unrecognizable. Ju-won followed his gaze to the stage. "The new dancer, Elena Sinclair." "Why?" Ha-jin stood abruptly, chair up, scraping, staring at the woman on stage like she held the answer to every question he'd forgotten how to ask. "I need to know everything about her," Ha-jin said, his voice low and dangerous and alive. "On it, boss." Ha-jin's hands were still shaking. He curled them into fists, trying to hold on to the sensation before it disappeared. Ju-won pulled out his phone immediately. "What else?" Elena finished her routine, bowed to scattered applause, and disappeared backstage. The moment she left his sight, the sensations began to fade. Not completely, but enough that panic clawed at Ha-jin's throat. No, he couldn't lose this. Not again. "Bring her to me," Ha-jin said quietly. "Be respectful. Don't scare her. Just tell her I want to talk." "Understood." Ju-won nodded and disappeared into the crowd. Ha-jin sank back into his seat, pressing his palm flat against the table. He could still feel it, the cool glass beneath his skin, real, solid, proof that he wasn't hallucinating. He'd built an empire, controlled the half of New York's underworld, commanded absolute loyalty from hundreds of men, and none of it mattered, because he was dead inside. Elena Sinclair had just brought him back to life, and now she was his, had to be his, because he would burn this entire city to the ground before going back to that hollow existence. His phone buzzed. Ju Won, already working. Hajin stared at the empty stage where Eleanor had been, his heart still racing, his hands still trembling. Whatever she was, cure, miracle, or curse, he would find out tonight. Hajin waited in his office, every second stretching like an eternity. 18 minutes later, Ju Won returned, sliding into the seat across from him with his phone in hand. Hajin's fingers drummed against the table, a nervous habit he hadn't had in years. The tremors hadn't stopped. His body remembered what it felt like to be alive, and now it was terrified of forgetting again. Elena Sinclair, Ju Won began, voice low. 24, from Accra, Ghana, been in New York for 8 months, works 3 jobs, this club, a coffee shop in Brooklyn, weekend shifts at a hotel in Midtown. Why? Her mother, Rita Sinclair, back in Accra with severe heart disease, needs surgery the insurance won't cover, medical bills are over 200,000 and climbing. Ju Won scrolled through his phone. Elena sends every dollar she makes back home. Hajin's jaw tightened. She was drowning, and he was about to throw her a rope made of chains. She's desperate, Ju Won said quietly. Good. The word came out cold, calculated. Hajin knew what desperation looked like. He'd built his empire on it. Bring her to me, now. Her shift doesn't end for another hour. I don't care. Hajin's eyes burned. Tell her it's important. Be polite, and make sure she knows she's not in trouble. Ju Won disappeared. Downstairs, Eleanor was in the dressing room, counting her tips with shaking hands. $47. Not enough. Never enough. Her phone sat on the counter, screen dark, 5 missed calls from McCrae. She couldn't answer, couldn't hear her mother's weak voice asking if she'd found the money yet. The surgery was scheduled in 2 weeks. Eleanor Sinclair, she jumped, spinning to see a security guard in the doorway, large, professional, his face neutral. Yes? Mr. Lee wants to see you in his office. Eleanor's stomach dropped. Mr. Lee? The owner? Yes. Now please. Did I do something wrong? Her voice came out small, desperate. I followed all the rules. I didn't talk to customers. You're not in trouble. The guard's expression softened slightly. He just wants to talk. Eleanor grabbed her hoodie, pulling it over her costume with trembling hands. In 8 months of working in New York, she'd learned one truth. When powerful men wanted to talk, it was never good. But she couldn't afford to lose this job. Not now. She followed the guard through the club, past VIP sections she'd never seen. The deeper they went, the quieter it became. The music faded. The laughter died. This was a different world. They stopped at a black door. The guard knocked twice. Send her in. The voice was deep, controlled. Eleanor's pulse jumped. The guard opened the door and gestured. She stepped inside, and the door closed behind her with a soft click. Lee Ha-jin stood by the window, his back to her, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a black suit. When he turned, Eleanor forgot how to breathe. He was beautiful in a dangerous way, sharp features, dark eyes that seemed to see straight through her, and the way he looked at her, like she was the only thing in the world that mattered. Miss Sinclair? He gestured to the chair across from his desk. Please, sit. I'd rather stand, sir. Eleanor lifted her chin despite the fear coursing through her. What is this about? Hajin's lips curved slightly. Did someone complain about my dancing? No. He moved closer, and Eleanor's breath caught. He stopped a few feet away, close enough that she could see the intensity in his eyes. You were perfect. Then why am I here? Because something impossible happened tonight. Hajin's voice dropped lower. 3 years ago, I was poisoned, a nerve toxin. It didn't kill me, but it destroyed my ability to feel anything. Pain, pleasure, heat, cold, all of it, gone. Elena stared at him, confusion mixing with fear. I don't understand. When you danced tonight, I felt something. The words came out raw, desperate. For the first time in 3 years, my heart raced. I could feel my pulse. You did that. That's not possible. I thought so too, but it happened. Harjin took another step closer. Eleanor could smell his cologne now, something expensive and dark. I need to know if it was a fluke, or if you're the cure I've been searching for. I'm not a cure. I'm just a dancer. You're more than that. Harjin's eyes held hers. And I want to make you an offer. Elena's throat went dry. What kind of offer? Live with me for 1 month. Be my companion. Be near me when I need to remember what it feels like to be human. Harjin's voice was steady now, businesslike. In exchange, I'll pay you $500,000. The number hit Elena like a physical blow. Her knees actually weakened. What? 250,000 up front, the rest at the end of the month. Harjin watched her reaction carefully. Elena's mind reeled. 500,000. Her mother's surgery, the medication, the recovery, everything. What exactly do you expect from me? Your presence, your time. Harjin's gaze didn't waver. I won't lie to you, Miss Sinclair. I'm attracted to you, but I'm not paying you for sex. If anything physical happens between us, it will be because we both want it, not because of a contract. This sounds insane. It is insane. Harjin's jaw tightened. But I'm a desperate man, and you're desperate too. We can help each other. I don't know you. Then get to know me. 1 month, that's all I'm asking. Harjin pulled out his phone. But you should know something first. My world is dangerous. The people who poisoned me are still out there. The Midnight Crew. They control half the docks, and they want me dead. If they discover you matter to me, they'll use you against me. Elena's fear spiked. Then why would you put me in danger? Because I'll protect you. Harjin's voice was absolute. I have the best security in New York. Armed guards, safe houses. I will keep you alive, Miss Sinclair, but you deserve to know the risk if we're going to do this. Elena's phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out with shaking hands. Accra. Her mother. She stared at the screen, frozen. Answer it, Harjin said quietly. Elena swiped to accept. Mama? Elena, my darling. Rita's voice came through weak, strained. A wet cough rattled in the background. I'm sorry to call so late. It's okay, Mama. What's wrong? The doctor was here today. They want to move the surgery up. My heart is weaker than they thought. They need to do it in 6 days instead of 2 weeks. Rita's voice broke. But the payment, Elena. They need 100,000 up front before they'll schedule it. Elena closed her eyes, tears burning. 6 days. She had 6 days. Mama, I'll get the money, I promise. You work so hard already, my sweet girl. Too hard. God will provide. He always does. I have to go, Mama. I'll call you tomorrow. I love you. I love you too, my precious daughter. The call ended. Elena stood there, phone clutched in her hand, tears on her face. Behind her, Harjin said nothing, just waited. 6 days, Elena whispered. Sign the contract, Harjin said softly. I'll wire the money tonight. Your mother will have her surgery. Elena turned to face him. Why? Because you're the woman who brought me back to life. Harjin's eyes held hers, and because I understand what it's like to watch someone you love slip away while you're powerless to stop it. Elena stared at him, at this dangerous, impossible man, offering her salvation wrapped in shadows. I need time to think. You have until tomorrow night. Harjin's voice was firm. Come back here, same time. Give me your answer then. Elena nodded, not trusting her voice. She moved towards the door. Elena. Harjin's use of her first name stopped her. She turned. Whatever you decide, your mother's surgery will be paid for. Consider it a gift, no strings attached. Elena's breath caught. Thank you. Because watching you cry broke something in me I thought was already dead. Elena returned to the club the next evening. She'd made her decision. Security recognized her immediately. Miss Sinclair, Mr. Lee is expecting you. They led her straight to his office. The door opened before she could knock. Harjin stood behind his desk, and the moment their eyes met, Eleanor saw it. Relief, raw, unguarded relief that she'd come back. Miss Sinclair, I'll do it. Eleanor's voice was steadier than she felt. 1 month, but I have conditions. Harjin's expression shifted. Something like respect flickered across his face. Name them. Respect, always. I'm not your property. I'm your employee. You don't touch me without asking. You don't make decisions about my life without consulting me. Eleanor stepped closer. And honesty. Complete honesty. If your enemies are coming, I need to know. If something threatens me, you tell me immediately. No lies. No protection through ignorance. Agreed. Harjin moved around the desk. Anything else? If I want to leave, if I feel unsafe, or if you break any part of this agreement, I walk away. No threats, no consequences. You let me go. You have my word. Harjin pulled out a folder, set it on the desk. It's all here. Every condition you've named, plus the ones I outlined yesterday. Read it. Eleanor read every word, every clause, every protection. When she finished, Harjin handed her a pen. Once you sign, the money transfers immediately. I know. Eleanor's hand trembled as she signed her name. Believe me, I know exactly what I'm doing. Harjin signed below her signature, then picked up his phone. Wire $250,000 to this account, now. He read off Eleanor's bank details. 30 seconds later, Eleanor's phone buzzed. She looked at the screen and her vision blurred. Transaction complete. Oh my God, she whispered. Call your mother, Harjin said quietly. Tell her the surgery is happening. Elena's hands shook as she dialed. The phone rang twice. Elena? Mama? Elena's voice cracked. I have the money. All of it. The surgery is happening. You're going to be okay. Silence. Then a sound Elena had never heard from her mother. A sob of pure relief. How? How did you... Don't ask, Mama. Please, just know that God provided, just like you said he would. Tears streamed down Elena's face. The hospital will call you tomorrow to schedule everything. I have to go, Mama, but I'll call you tomorrow. I love you. I love you too, my daughter. More than life. The call ended. Elena stood there, tears on her face, phone in her shaking hand. Harjin handed her a tissue without a word. Thank you, she whispered. Don't thank me yet. Harjin checked his watch. The contract starts now. You move in tonight. Elena's stomach tightened. Right now. Are you ready? No, but her mother was going to live, and that was all that mattered. Yes. The car ride was silent, tense. Eleanor watched Manhattan blur past. 20 minutes later, they arrived at a building in Tribeca. An elevator took them to the top floor, opening directly into Harjin's penthouse. Elena's breath caught. Harjin led her down a hallway, opened a door. This is your room, your sanctuary. He stood in the doorway, not crossing the threshold. I won't enter without permission, ever. The door locks from the inside if that makes you feel safer. Eleanor turned to face him. What happens now? Now. You rest. Tomorrow we will figure out what this becomes. Harjin started to close the door, then paused. Thank you, Eleanor, for coming back, for taking the risk. I didn't have a choice. You always have a choice. You chose your mother's life. That takes courage. Harjin's voice softened. Sleep well. The door closed. Elena whispered into the silence. What have I done? Several hours later, sleep wouldn't come, so she left her room. The living room was dark. Harjin sat on the couch, facing the windows. He turned when he heard her footsteps. Can't sleep either. No. Eleanor hesitated, then sat on the opposite end of the couch. Careful distance between them. Too much in my head. I understand. Harjin turned back to the window. I haven't slept well in 3 years. It's hard to sleep when you can't feel tired. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Harjin spoke again, his voice quiet. May I ask you something? Yes. Why Ghana? Why come all the way to New York alone? Eleanor pulled her knees up to her chest. My mother got sick 2 years ago. The treatment in Accra wasn't enough. The doctors said she needed surgery that cost more than we'd make in 5 lifetimes. I had a friend in New York who said I could make good money here, dancing, working, sending it home. She paused. I thought I could save her. Instead, I've just been drowning while watching her die from across the ocean. Not anymore. Harjin's voice was firm. She's getting the surgery. She's going to live. Because of you. Harjin turned to look at her. You gave me something no one else could. It's only fair I do the same for you. Elena met his eyes. In the dim light, he looked less dangerous, more human. Can I ask you something now? Anything. What does it feel like when you're near me? Harjin was quiet for a long moment. Then he shifted on the couch, facing her more directly. May I show you? Elena's heart jumped. How? May I hold your hand? She hesitated, then extended her hand across the space between them. Harjin took it gently, his fingers wrapping around hers, and Elena watched his entire body react. His eyes closed, his breath caught, his thumb moved slowly across her knuckles, like he was memorizing the texture of her skin. I can feel your pulse, he whispered. Your warmth, the softness of your skin. It's overwhelming, like coming back to life after being buried alive. Elena's own pulse quickened. There was something intimate about watching him experience something as simple as a touch, like it was a miracle. Can I touch your face? Harjin asked, voice rough. Elena's breath caught. Why? Because I want to know what it feels like. She should say no, should keep the boundaries clear. But something in his voice, the vulnerability, the desperation, made her nod. Harjin's hand moved slowly to her face. His fingers traced her cheekbone, her jaw, barely touching. His eyes followed the path of his fingers, wonder written across his features. You're so warm, he breathed, so alive. Eleanor's heart hammered. She could feel the tremor in his hand, see the emotion in his eyes. This wasn't about desire, it was about sensation, about a man remembering what it meant to be human. What are we doing, Harjin? She whispered. His hand stilled against her face, his eyes met hers, remembering what it means to be human, together. The air between them felt heavy, charged. Eleanor knew she should pull away, create distance. Remember this was a transaction, but she couldn't move. I should let you rest, Harjin said finally, dropping his hand, but he didn't move. Neither did Elena. They sat there in the darkness, hands still joined, the city lights painting shadows across their faces. Tomorrow? Elena asked softly. Tomorrow, Harjin repeated. Elena squeezed his hand once, then stood. Good night, Harjin. Good night, Elena. She walked back to her room, closed the door, and leaned against it. Her hand still tingled where he'd touched her. Her face still burned where his fingers had traced her skin. This was supposed to be simple, a transaction, money for time, but nothing about Lee Hye-jin felt simple, and Eleanor was starting to realize she might be in far more danger than the midnight crew could ever pose. The kind of danger that came from a man who looked at her like she was salvation itself. Lee Ha-jin doesn't just need her presence, he's becoming obsessed. And the terrifying part, she can feel herself falling too. Subscribe and stay till the ending because Eleanor just traded her freedom for her mother's life, and she's realizing the price might be higher than she thought. Elena woke to the smell of coffee. She found Ha-jin in the kitchen, 2 cups already poured. "Did you sleep well?" he asked. "I did. You?" "Same." Both were lying. The tension from last night still hung in the air between them. The memory of his fingers on her face, her pulse under his touch. Eleanor took the coffee, careful not to let their fingers brush. "Thank you." Ha-jin's eyes lingered on her for a moment too long before he looked away. "We should talk about—" The door opened. Park Ju-won entered without knocking, tablet in hand. He stopped when he saw Eleanor, then glanced at Ha-jin with raised eyebrows. "Morning, boss. Miss Sinclair." Ju-won bowed slightly. Ha-jin's jaw tightened. What's the update? Midnight crew has been quiet. Too quiet. Ju-won pulled up something on his tablet. No movements on the docks. No retaliation for the Harlem territory. Nothing. They're planning something. That's my concern. Ju-won glanced at Elena, then back to Ha-jin. "Security protocols are in place, but I recommend Miss Sinclair stays inside until we know what they're planning." Elena set her coffee down. "I have shifts at the coffee shop and hotel." "Not anymore," Ha-jin said quietly. "The contract covers your lost income. You don't need those jobs. I need to work. You need to stay alive." Ha-jin's tone left no room for argument. "We'll discuss it later. That's all, Ju-won." Ju-won nodded and left. Silence settled between them. Elena crossed her arms. "You can't just lock me up." "I'm not locking you up. I'm protecting you. From an enemy I wouldn't have if it weren't for you." Ha-jin's expression darkened. "You're right. This is my fault, which is why I'll do whatever it takes to keep you safe." Elena softened slightly. "Tell me about the poisoning. The real story." Ha-jin was quiet for a long moment. Then he moved to the couch, gestured for her to sit. She did, keeping distance between them. 3 years ago, I was negotiating a deal in Seoul. Port access, shipping routes, big money. Ha-jin's voice was flat, distant. My associate, someone I'd known for a long while, set up the dinner meeting. We ate, we drank. Everything seemed normal. What happened? I woke up 3 days later in a hospital, unable to feel anything. The doctors said it was a nerve toxin, rare, expensive, untraceable. Ha-jin's hands clenched. My associate was found dead 2 days later. The midnight crew had used him to get to me. Why? Control. They wanted the ports, wanted me out of the way. Ha-jin's eyes met hers. They wanted me to suffer before I died. Instead, they created something worse. A man who couldn't feel fear, couldn't feel pain. A man who had nothing left to lose. Elena saw the hollowness in his expression, the years of emptiness, until now, until you. Ha-jin's voice softened. You gave me something they couldn't take away. You gave me back my humanity. Elena's chest tightened. I didn't do anything special. You exist. That's enough. Ha-jin leaned back. Tell me about Ghana, about your life before all this. Elena pulled her knees up, wrapping her arms around them. I left everything. My mother. I was selfish. I wanted to be the hero who saved her, but instead, I've been drowning while she suffered alone. Elena's voice cracked. I dance because it's the only time I don't feel guilty, the only time I feel free. Ha-jin studied her. What kind of dancing? Before the clubs? Traditional, festival dances, celebrations. A small smile touched Eleanor's lips. In Ghana, when I danced, people clapped. Here, I dance for strangers who see me as entertainment. I don't see you as entertainment. Harjin stood, extended his hand. Dance for me, here, now. Not as a stranger, as someone who sees you. Elena's heart skipped. I don't have music. You don't need it. She hesitated, then took his hand and stood, moved to the open space, and without music, without an audience, Elena danced. She moved the way she had in Ghana, free, powerful, real. And when she looked at Hajin, she saw him watching her like she was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. You move like poetry, he breathed. Elena stopped in front of him, slightly breathless. Dance with me? I don't know how. I'll teach you. She took his hands, placed them on her waist. Just feel the movement. Follow me. They moved together slowly, barely swaying. Harjin's hands burned where they touched her. His eyes never left her face. I haven't danced in years, he whispered. Haven't wanted to. And now, I never want to stop. They were barely moving, just swaying in place. Elena could feel his breath on her face, see the emotion in his eyes. This was more than dancing. This was trust, vulnerability, connection. Harjin, she whispered. I think I... His hand moved up to cup her face. His thumb brushed across her bottom lip. Eleanor's breath caught. She leaned in slightly, and Harjin mirrored her movement. His eyes dropped to her mouth. Their faces were inches apart, breath mingling, hearts racing. The door slammed open. Boss! Ju-won's voice was urgent. Harjin's hand dropped immediately, his body shifting to put himself between Eleanor and the door. What? Midnight crew have been watching the club. Saw Eleanor leave with you. One of their scouts reported back. Ju-won's expression was grim. They know she matters to you. Eleanor's blood ran cold. Harjin's jaw clenched so hard she could see the muscle jump. Double security, armed guards on every entrance. She doesn't leave this building without a full detail. Harjin's voice was ice. Contact our people. Already done, Ju-won said. Ju-won left. Silence crashed down. I'm sorry, Harjin said quietly. This is exactly what I warned you about. I knew the risk. Knowing and living it are different things. Harjin turned to face her. I won't let them touch you, I swear it. You can't promise that. Yes, I can. He stepped closer, his intensity almost overwhelming. Elena, if they take you from me, I will burn this entire city to ash. I will hunt every single one of them down and make them regret the day they learned your name. The possessiveness in his voice should have scared her. Instead, her pulse quickened for entirely different reasons. You barely know me, she whispered. Harjin's eyes burned into hers. I know enough. I know you're brave and fierce, and you see me as a man, not a monster. I know losing you would destroy me in ways the poison never could. Elena's breath caught. Harjin! I know we almost kissed just now, and I know I'll regret Ju-won's timing for the rest of my life. His voice dropped lower. And I know that terrifies you as much as the Midnight Crew does. He was right. She was terrified. Not of his enemies, of him, of what she was starting to feel, of the way he looked at her like she was salvation and damnation wrapped into one. What do we do now? She asked. Now? We prepare. We stay alert. And we figure out if what's growing between us is worth the war it's going to start. Eleanor met his eyes. And if it is? Harjin's expression softened slightly. Then I'll burn the world down to keep you safe, and pray you choose to stay when the ashes settle. 1 week passed. Eleanor stayed in the penthouse, security tight, the Midnight Crew threat hanging over them like a storm cloud. But the real tension wasn't the danger outside, it was what was building between them inside. Evening. Eleanor and Ha-jin sat on the couch, closer than before. The almost kiss from a week ago lingered between them, unfinished business neither could forget. Ha-jin watched her, jaw tight with visible restraint. Eleanor caught him staring. What? Nothing. Ha-jin? He exhaled slowly. You're making this very difficult. Making what difficult? Keeping my hands off you. Elena's breath caught. Her pulse jumped. What if I don't want you to keep them off me? Ha-jin's eyes darkened, his jaw clenched. He moved closer, closing the careful distance between them. His hand came up to cup her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone. Elena, I feel it too, every second of every day. This pull between us, this want. His voice was rough, strained. But I need you to be sure. I am sure. No. Ha-jin's thumb traced her bottom lip, and Eleanor's breath hitched. When the month ends, and you're free to choose, when there's no contract, no money, no obligation, ask me again then. Why wait? Because I want you to choose me. Not the money, not the contract, not because you're grateful or obligated. His eyes burned into hers. I want you to choose me because you want me. Just me. Elena's frustration mixed with something dangerously close to love. You're infuriatingly honourable. Only with you. Ha-jin's hand dropped, but he didn't move away. With everyone else, I'm exactly the monster they think I am. The air between them was heavy, charged, unbearable. Both wanting, both waiting. The tension so thick Elena could barely breathe. 2 more weeks, she whispered. 2 more weeks. Ha-jin's voice was dark promise. And then you're free to choose, and I'm free to make you mine. The next morning, Eleanor woke, restless. A week locked in the penthouse, no matter how luxurious, was starting to suffocate her. She found Ha-jin in the kitchen. I need to get out. Just for an hour. I'm going crazy in here. Ha-jin's expression tightened. It's not safe. I'll take security. I'll stay visible. I just need to breathe normal air, Ha-jin. Please. He studied her for a long moment, then nodded reluctantly. 1 hour. The coffee shop 2 blocks down. Security stays within sight. Thank you. 20 minutes later, Eleanor sat in the corner booth of a small coffee shop. 2 of Ha-jin's security team visible through the window. Normal people moved around her. Normal conversations. Normal life. She'd almost forgotten what it felt like. Excuse me. Elena looked up. A man in his 30s, friendly face, business casual clothes, non-threatening. You look exhausted, he said with an easy smile. Long week? Elena managed a small laugh. You have no idea. I'm David. I come here every morning. Haven't seen you before. Eleanor. Just needed to get out for a bit. I know that feeling. David gestured to her empty cup. Can I buy you another coffee? You look like you could use it. Elena hesitated. Ha-jin's security was right outside. This was just a normal interaction, a normal person being kind. She was so tired of living in fear. Sure, thank you. Black coffee, please. David went to the counter, returned with 2 cups, set one in front of her. They talked for a few minutes. Weather, the neighbourhood, nothing important. Just normal conversation that Eleanor craved. Then he checked his watch. I should get to work. Nice meeting you, Eleanor. You too. He left. Eleanor sipped her coffee, savouring the normalcy of it all. 20 minutes later, her vision blurred. Eleanor blinked, trying to clear her sight. The cup slipped from her hands, shattering on the floor. Her hands were shaking. No, her whole body was shaking. Something's wrong. Her legs gave out. She collapsed, hitting the floor hard. Her body convulsed. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The world tilted sideways. Security burst through the door. One of them grabbed David before he could disappear into the crowd outside. Boss, she's down, the other shouted into his phone. We have the man who gave her the drink. An ambulance is coming. Elena's vision went dark. The last thing she heard was sirens. Ha-Jin arrived at the hospital before the ambulance did. He burst through the ER doors, barely controlled panic in every movement. Where is she? His men pointed. ICU, 3rd floor. He took the stairs 3 at a time, found Eleanor in a room surrounded by machines, a ventilator breathing for her. Monitors beeped. IV lines ran from her arms. She looked small, fragile, nothing like the fierce woman who danced in his living room. A doctor said to him, "She's been poisoned, a nerve toxin. Very rare, very expensive." The doctor's expression was grim. Ha-Jin's world stopped. "We're doing everything we can, but the next 24 hours are critical. We don't know if she'll wake up." Ha-Jin moved to her bedside like a man in a dream, sat in the chair beside her, took her hand gently. He could feel her pulse, weak, thready, but there. "Stay with me, Elena," he whispered. "Please, you have to stay." His phone rang. Ju-won. "Boss, we have him at the warehouse. He's talking." Ha-Jin looked at Elena one more time, pressed a kiss to her hand. "Hold on, I'm coming back for you." The warehouse was dark except for a single light over a chair. David was tied to it, blood running from his nose, terror in his eyes. Ha-Jin walked in, and the temperature dropped. "Who sent you?" "I don't know. They just paid me to—" Ha-Jin's fist connected with his jaw. David's head snapped back. "Who sent you?" "Midnight Crew," David sobbed. "Their boss, Chen. He said poison the girl, make you suffer. That's all I know." "Where is he?" "I don't know. I swear I don't know." Ju-won stepped forward. "Boss, Chen operates from the Red Dragon restaurant in Chinatown. Private room upstairs. Always has 6 bodyguards." Ha-Jin's eyes were dead, emotionless. "How long will it take to mobilize our people?" "Everyone's ready. We can hit him in 30 minutes, but I don't think we should do that." "He's going to come to us." He looked at David. "You're going to call Chen. Tell him the job is done. The girl is dead." David's eyes widened. "He'll kill me if he finds out I'll kill you right now if you don't. Choose." David's hands shook as Ju-won handed him his phone. Ha-Jin hit the speaker. It rang twice. A voice answered. "It's done. Yes." David's voice trembled. "She's dead. The poison worked fast." Chen's laugh was cold, satisfied. "Good. Lee Ha-Jin will finally know what suffering feels like. His invincible reputation dies with the girl." A pause. "Meet me at Pier 9 in 1 hour. I'll have your payment." The call ended. Ha-Jin crushed the phone in his hand, looked at Ju-won. "Assemble everyone. Full force. Pier 9. Heavy weapons. No mercy." Ju-won nodded. "What about him?" He gestured to David. "He stays alive until after. He watches what happens when you come for what's mine." Ha-Jin turned to leave, then looked back. "And Ju-won, when this is over, I want the Midnight Crew erased. Every location, every operation, every man who knew about this. Burn it all. Consider it done." Pier 9 was abandoned at night, the perfect kill zone. Shipping containers stacked like tombs, darkness broken only by a few flickering lights. Ha-Jin and 30 of his men positioned in the shadows, heavy weapons ready. Ju-won crouched beside him. Chen's convoy just turned onto the pier road. Ha-Jin checked his watch. Right on time. He thinks he's meeting David for a victory celebration. He's meeting death. Ha-Jin's voice was empty, mechanical. The same tone he'd had for 3 years before Elena. The numbness had returned the moment she collapsed. He'd burned it away with rage, but underneath, he felt nothing. 3 black SUVs rolled onto the pier, headlights cutting through the dark. They stopped in the centre of the killing zone. Doors opened. Chen stepped out. 6 bodyguards surrounding him, cocky, confident, laughing. "Where's our little killer?" Chen called out, looking around. "I want to shake his hand. Lee Ha-jin finally knows what suffering feels like." His men laughed with him. Chen looked around the empty pier. No David, no celebration, just darkness and the sound of water lapping against concrete. "Something's wrong." Ha-jin stepped out of the shadows into the light. "You're right," he said quietly. "Something is very wrong." Chen's face went white. Lee Ha-jin. "Surprised? You thought she was dead. You thought you'd won." Ha-jin's gun hung loose at his side. 30 red laser dots appeared on Chen and his men. "You thought poisoning her would break me." "Kill him!" Chen screamed. Gunfire erupted from every direction. Ha-jin's men emerged from containers, from behind crates, from the darkness itself. Chen's bodyguards went down fast, professionally, efficiently. They tried to fight back, tried to find cover, but they were surrounded, outgunned, outmaneuvered. Chen ran. Ha-jin shot him in the leg. Chen went down screaming, hitting the concrete hard. His gun skittered away across the pier. 90 seconds. That's all it took. All of Chen's men dead. Just Chen left, bleeding and sobbing on the ground. Ha-jin walked toward him slowly. His men formed a perimeter, weapons ready. But this was Ha-jin's kill. Everyone knew it. "Wait!" Chen held up his hands, blood pouring from his leg. "We can make a deal. I have money, territory, connections." Ha-jin stopped in front of him, looked down at the man who'd tried to destroy him, felt nothing. "You poisoned the wrong woman. She's everything, and you're nothing. If you kill me, the Midnight Crew will come for you. We have allies. We have—" "There is no Midnight Crew." Ha-jin's voice was ice. "By morning, every location you own will be ash. Every warehouse, every club, every safe house, every man loyal to you will be dead or running for his life. Your empire dies with you tonight." He pulled the trigger. Chen's body hit the pier with a wet thud. Ha-jin stared at the corpse, felt nothing. No satisfaction, no relief. Just the same hollow emptiness he'd carried for 3 years. Because revenge meant nothing if Eleanor died. Ju-won appeared at his side. "Orders, boss. Burn their warehouses, their clubs, their safe houses. Every brick they own turns to ash by sunrise." Ha-jin's voice was mechanical. "Send messages to every organization they had dealings with. The Midnight Crew is gone. Anyone who challenges us meets the same fate." "And their men?" "Anyone who worked for Chen gets one chance to walk away. Right now. Anyone who stays, anyone who fights, dies." Ha-jin holstered his gun. No exceptions, no mercy. Ju-won nodded, already pulling out his phone to coordinate. Within minutes, Ha-jin's forces would spread across the city like wildfire. By dawn, the Midnight Crew would be a memory. He walked away from the pier, from the bodies, from the vengeance that felt hollow in his chest, got in his car, drove through Manhattan streets that blurred together. He was still wearing tactical gear, still had blood on his hands, his clothes. Not his blood. The hospital was bright, sterile, alive with beeping machines and hushed voices. A nurse looked up as he entered, eyes widening at his appearance. "Sir, you can't—" Ha-jin walked past her, took the stairs to the ICU, found Elena's room, stopped in the doorway. She was still unconscious, still on the ventilator. Monitors tracked her heartbeat, her breathing, her life reduced to numbers on a screen. She looked small, fragile, nothing like the fierce woman who'd challenged him in his office, who'd danced in his living room, who'd looked at him like he was a man, not a monster. He moved to the chair beside her bed, sat down slowly, took her hand in his. It was warm. Her pulse beat against his palm, weak but steady. "It's done." he said quietly. Chen is dead. The midnight crew is burning. Every man who worked for them is running or dying. You're safe now, Elena. They can't hurt you anymore. His voice cracked. But it doesn't matter if you don't wake up. He leaned forward, pressing his forehead against their joined hands. A killer, sitting beside the woman he loved. I burned the world down for you, he whispered. Just like I promised, I killed them all, destroyed everything they built, made them pay for touching you. Tears fell onto her hand. He didn't wipe them away. Now, please, come back to me. His shoulders shook. I need to tell you I love you while you can hear it. I need to kiss you. I need to know if you choose me too. He couldn't finish. He sat there in the dark hospital room, covered in blood, holding the hand of the only person who'd made him feel human in 3 years. Outside the window, the sun was starting to rise over Manhattan. Somewhere in the city, the midnight crew's empire was burning to the ground. But none of it mattered. None of the revenge, none of the violence, none of the death. All that mattered was whether Elena would open her eyes. So he sat and held her hand and waited. Hajin hadn't left Elena's side for 18 hours. He sat in the same chair, still holding her hand, exhausted, hadn't slept, couldn't sleep. Not until he knew she'd wake up. Her fingers twitched against his. Hajin's head snapped up. Elena. Her eyes fluttered open slowly, unfocused at first. Then they found his face, locked on. Recognition flickered. Hajin. Her voice was weak, hoarse from the ventilator. Relief crashed through him so hard he could barely breathe. I'm here. You're safe. The door burst open. The doctor rushed in, checking monitors, vitals, shining a light in her eyes. She's waking up. This is very good. Heart rate stable. Oxygen levels improving. Hajin didn't move, didn't let go of her hand. The doctor smiled. She'll need rest, but she's past the worst. She's going to make a full recovery. When the doctor left, Hajin and Elena were alone. She looked at him, really looked, saw the blood on his clothes, the exhaustion carved into his face, the fear still lingering in his eyes. What happened? Her voice was barely above a whisper. You were poisoned. Elena's hand tightened on his. The coffee shop. That man. He's dead. They're all dead. Chen, the midnight crew, everyone who touched you. Hajin's voice was flat, factual. Eleanor processed this. You killed them. Yes. No apology, no hesitation, just the truth. How long was I out? Almost 2 days. Hajin's voice cracked slightly. The longest 2 days of my life. Eleanor saw it then. The fear, the relief, the raw, desperate love written across his face. You stayed. I never left. Couldn't. He brought her hand to his lips, pressed a kiss to her knuckles. You scared me, Elena. I thought I'd lost you. Tears filled Elena's eyes. I heard you. When I was unconscious, I couldn't move or speak, but I heard your voice. Hajin went completely still. What did you hear? You said you loved me, that you never got to kiss me. A tear slid down her cheek. Did you mean it? Every word. Hajin moved closer, bringing his other hand up to cup her face. I love you, Eleanor. I fell in love with you the night you danced with me. Maybe before that. Maybe the moment you walked into my office and refused to sit down. Eleanor laughed weakly, tears streaming now. I love you too. I think I've loved you since you asked permission to touch my face. Elena, the contract ends in 1 week. Her eyes held his. I've made my choice. Hajin's breath stopped. What choice? I choose you, Hajin, not the money, not the obligation. You, just you, every time. Hajin stood, leaned over her carefully. She was still fragile, still recovering. I've been waiting weeks to do this. Elena smiled through her tears. Then, stop waiting. Harjin kissed her, soft at first, gentle because she was still healing, but Eleanor responded, her hand sliding to the back of his neck, pulling him closer. The kiss deepened, years of numbness, weeks of restraint, days of fear, all of it breaking apart in this moment. When they parted, both breathless, Elena touched his face. That was worth waiting for. Harjin laughed, actually laughed, a sound he hadn't made in years. I'm never letting you go. You know that, right? Good. Elena's smile was radiant despite her weakness, because I'm not going anywhere. 2 weeks later, Elena was recovering at the penthouse, much stronger now, walking around without help, colour back in her cheeks, life returning to her eyes. Harjin hadn't let her out of his sight. He'd worked from home, cancelled meetings, rearranged his entire empire to stay close to her. They sat on the couch together, the same couch where they'd almost kissed weeks ago. The contract had officially ended days ago. Elena was still there. The month is over. Elena said softly, I noticed. Harjin's arm was around her shoulders, holding her close. So why am I still here? She asked, smiling. Harjin pulled her even closer, pressed a kiss to her temple. Because you chose to stay. Because this stopped being about a contract the moment I realised I'd rather die than lose you. Harjin stood suddenly, pulling Eleanor up with him. He took both her hands, his heart pounding harder than it had during any gunfight. Eleanor Sinclair, you're brave, you're fierce, and you see me as a man, not a monster. You make me want to be better. You make me want to feel everything, even when it hurts. Harjin's grip on her hands tightened. I know it's fast. I know it's insane, but I died inside for 3 years, and I don't want to waste another second. He dropped to one knee. Elena's hand flew to her mouth. Harjin pulled a small box from his pocket, opened it. A diamond ring caught the light. Simple, elegant, perfect. Marry me. Elena pulled him up before he could say more. You're supposed to ask, not demand. Harjin smiled, that rare, genuine smile that transformed his entire face. Elena Sinclair, will you marry me? Yes. No hesitation, no doubt. Yes. 1,000 times. Yes. One condition, though. Harjin slid the ring onto her finger. Anything. Take me to Ghana. I want you to meet my mother. Properly. I'll meet her and I'll ask her permission too. Elena laughed, throwing her arms around his neck. She's going to love you, even knowing what I am, especially knowing. Elena pulled back to look at him, because you're the man who saved her daughter, twice, once with money, once with blood. Harjin kissed her again, deep, passionate, full of promise and future, and all the things they'd almost lost. When they broke apart, both smiling, Eleanor rested her forehead against his. So what happens now? She asked. Now? Harjin's hand settled on her waist. We live. We plan a wedding. We fly to Ghana so I can meet your family. We build a life together. What about your world? The danger? The midnight crew is gone. I've made it clear to every organisation in this city, you're untouchable. Anyone who comes for you answers to me. He paused, his expression serious. But if you want, I can step back, leave that life. I'd do it for you. Elena shook her head. I don't need you to change. I fell in love with all of you, the good and the dangerous. Just promise me one thing. Anything. Come home to me. Always. Harjin's eyes held hers, dark and intense and full of everything he'd never thought he'd feel again. Love, hope, future. Always. In real life, people like Chen never face consequences. Subscribe to the channel for stories where they do. Justice, revenge, villains burning. The only reason you won't subscribe is you support what he did.